In this review we go retro, back in time almost 16 years. The model was made by Sword and it's a Peterbilt 379 prime mover with a huge Nelson 3x3x3 trailer. It is in the colours of DG equipment. As you can see, there are loads of parts, but there are no instructions included with the model. We will assemble a medium length configuration, but there are parts to do something quite a bit longer. And you can see already that this is going to be quite a big model. We start with a Peterbilt, and as was typical for Sword models, you had to clip in the mirrors onto the doors. And even the air horns on the roof were something that you had to fit into the holes that were drilled in. And different types of air horn were supplied. Moving to the front of the trailer, and there's a big gooseneck to fit into the fifth wheel on the front dolly, and that clips into place. There's a similar arrangement with the rear 6-axle part of the trailer, with the difference being there's not a fifth wheel, there's a turntable, and the gooseneck gets fitted to it. To secure the connection you use a couple of steel pins. There are many hydraulic hoses with connectors, and those from the gooseneck connect into the trailer, and they have nice positive connections. Here's a view of the large deck unit, and there are also other smaller deck sections, and you can combine these in a number of different ways to get different lengths. Also, a very nice touch for very long decks was these clear spacers, and these allowed you to pose the model with a heavy load without the decks drooping. Right, let's move on and connect up the deck to the gooseneck. And there are some interlocking connectors, and once you get the holes line up, you insert steel pins. And these pins are really good because they've got handles modelled, and they can also take locking clips to hold them in place. So here we have the trailer fully assembled in this configuration, and it rolls along very well indeed. Now we just need to move on and connect up the Peterbilt, and that's an easy connection into the fifth wheel. And again, everything lines up well with all wheels fully grounded. After that, we just have a bit of detail to add with some warning flags. For the detail, we start underneath the Peterbilt. And you can see that the underside of the engine is modelled, and there are nice soft mud flaps. There's a chromed exhaust and various tanks modelled, and the transmission system to the rear axles is there too. The wheels have decent tyres. The big grille on the front is really good. It is metal with excellent meshwork. There are nice lights, and the oversized load sign has been added. The hood has got very nice bolt head detailing. And details on the roof are complex with air horns and lights. And the chromed mirror assemblies also have fine quality aerials. There's a large chrome visor and windscreen wipers. A high standard continues along the side of the hood. And the doors are also detailed, including DG equipment logos. As usual, Sword models did not have windows in the doors. And also the standard of the small details was very high. The chromed steps have texturing and the wheels look really good. There's some more high detail behind the cab with a headache rack complete with chains. And there are coiled air lines complete with a holder. The quality of the chromed exhaust stacks is also very high. Behind the cab there are fully textured metal wheel arches. And again the wheels are very high quality. Looking at the back, the mud flaps have the Peterbilt logo. And there's a generic DHS number plate. Moving on to the trailer, and the parts continue the high standard of modelling. The structure is formed very well, and there are many hoses which provide detail. A noteworthy feature is that nearly all of the parts are metal. The trailer deck also has a comprehensive structure with a plastic replica timber decking. The rear part of the trailer is the same with many hose details, and the multiple axle assemblies are modelled really well too. Both of the goosenecks are nearly all modelled in metal, and again the robust structure is replicated. And the smaller details are also very good, including towing hitches underneath the gooseneck. And the decoration is also of a very high standard. There are holders with replica timber blocks and elastic bands to hold them in position. And the perforations along the structural beams really look good. Smaller graphics include the Nelson logo, and you can see there are lights with wires running to them. Further down the gooseneck we have the DG Equipment Company logo, and other smaller details really add to the look. Many hoses cross onto the deck section, and the edges of the deck are first class, and that includes properly usable tie-down loops. The replica timber deck looks good enough. Moving to the rear of the trailer, and there's some more intense detailing with tiny warning graphics and signs. And these all give the model a complex and busy appearance. At the rear there's a man-riding platform, and that includes controls, and the detailing at the rear end is convincing. Back underneath the Peterbilt and the rear wheels spin together, and there is a soft notched steering at the front. One very nice feature on the model is that there is suspension, but also axle 2 can be clipped up out of service. And to do that you remove a cover behind the cab, and then you can use the clips to keep the axle up. Out onto the cranes etc. highway, and the Peterbilt rolls well enough, but the steering angle does interfere with the hood a little bit. Overall the suspension is stiff and works well, and the opening hood is nicely engineered, and you can see that the engine is detailed with many coloured components. With no windows in the cab doors it's relatively easy to open them, and they can be opened to a decent angle. There is detailing inside the cab, and this is really the only area of the model that shows its age a little bit. The fifth wheel is flexible with some longitudinal movement, and a positive acting lock is always a good feature. All of the axles on the trailer have sprung suspension, and the front and rear parts do roll along very smoothly, with the front section also having the benefit of landing legs which can be lowered by unscrewing them. So that's handy if you need to park the trailer. The rear section has a steerable axle group, and again the model engineering is of a high standard because it all rolls along very smoothly. And that includes if you set the steering. But there are many more features on the trailer, and here we have an opening section that lets you see equipment inside. But wait, there's more, there's even an opening storage box as well. If we transit to the end of the trailer, there's an opening door which gives access to the platform, and it's wide enough to accommodate any person who might be an oversized load. But still there's more, because each gooseneck also has an opening cover to give access to a power pack.
Time for a dim check.
This is a big model, and in the configuration shown here, it's over 33 inches or 85 centimeters, and you can build it bigger. Of course a trailer always looks good with a load, but putting on a big Komatsu wheel loader would be having a joke. Instead we'll add on a big bucket from a Bucyrus excavator. This is one of the great models from the era of TWH collectibles and sold models back in 2008. In terms of detailing and functionality, it matches the best of modern standards, and it's probably a model that deserves to be made again. It's a great piece of heavy haulage modelling, although it's very hard to find these days, and it's no surprise that it rated as excellent.